Tonight on Reel to Reel, we travel to Cape May, New Jersey to visit a school with some interesting ideas on education.
We'll also visit a Catholic high school in Washington that has developed a successful program with mainstreamed handicapped children.
And we'll meet Nick Parendo, an artist working with jeweled light. All that and much more tonight. Hello, I'm Father Dave McGowan.
And I'm Isabel Galvery. Welcome to Reel to Reel.
Last week on our show, we took you to El Cajon, California, to see the progress the St. Madeline Sophie Center is having in working with mentally handicapped adults and in working towards mainstreaming them into society.
And in our first story tonight, we'll have the opportunity to see just how successful a program like that can be. Eastside Catholic High School in Bellevue, Washington is one of 8 Catholic high schools in the Seattle area, and it is the only school with a special education program that accepts mainstreamed mentally handicapped adults.
And the program, as you will see, has been very successful.
The school started back in 1980, and at that time there was a real desire among the people starting it. It was a real parent-oriented school, and the parents at that time wanted it to be a really innovative school, and so they hired a principal who thinks in different ways from most people. A group of parents had approached Dick Ellis, our principal, and asked him to consider starting a special education program here at Eastside.
A private school from the beginning, Eastside Catholic High School has faced challenges in each phase of its growth.
The program operates on an individualized basis for each student. Each student is evaluated on what they can and can't do, and their strengths and weaknesses academically, socially, physically, and we attempt to build a program around that. Some students spend most of their day in the special education classroom. Others spend part of their day there and part of their day in the regular class, all according to their needs.
Diane Beals, who has been with the special education program since its beginning, explained its purpose in this way.
I came in with a mandate from the parents to teach academics, and that's my strength, and that's what I've done before. And so I came in to teach that, and to also work on getting kids mainstreamed into regular classes and into the whole student body. I've reduced the amount of content I teach, and I focus more on process and teach kids the process of learning. And I've learned how I learn, and that's made a difference in my continuing to learn. So now I'm trying to teach my own students how to learn.
Speech and language pathologist Joanne Holt works with the students in developing their communication skills.
These kids are still in the process of developing new conceptual information, in learning new ways to explore materials both visually and auditorily, making associations between things, learning to reason and problem solve, learning to organize information for later use and retrieve information. So those skills are all heavily dependent on language, and then they interface with other academic areas in terms of direction following, retention skills, making relationships between new material and things they've learned in the past.
Okay, what has happened to you 3 times in baseball this year?
No, I got home run.
You've gotten a home run. 3 times. That's really pretty exciting, isn't it? That's great. Okay, anything else you're going to write about in your diary?
Parent involvement continues to be an active ingredient in the program. Margaret Little, whose daughter Ann has been at Eastside for 4 years, explained the strengths of this special education program.
Prior to her going to Eastside, however, they were working on vocational training from grade 8 and not working on academics, so this has been really some of the strengths of the program, is that they did pay attention to the academics, and for some of the kids it has really been a big boon. They've achieved more than it was ever felt that Downs kids or kids that were mentally handicapped could achieve. It's a situation where most schools are not comfortable having people who are disabled in the school, and the kids at Eastside are becoming increasingly comfortable, and whether or not they initially chose that, it's something that I think now that they would choose given the choice.
The educational environment at Eastside fosters an exposure to a wide range of experiences, people, and approaches to learning.
First period I have religion, second period I have drawing, then third I have math, fourth I have art, fifth I have typing, sixth study hall, seventh physical science.
This school is so powerful.
No, it has more spiritual enthusiasm and you name it.
What do
you mean powerful?
Well, it's like Spirit Week, like everyone gathers around, chair people around doing sports activities like that.
Power, good power.
The power. Their school is a lot of powerful. My friends.
Eastside is definitely community. We're just like one big family, and I think the special ed program adds a lot to our family.
I think the special ed people are really just loving, and Dwayne, he writes me notes all the time, how much he really values our friendship, and I think they're some of the most special people in the world.
I think the program itself could not operate without the environment that's in this school, and I think that's well supported by both Diane and myself and the parents. The sense of community and spirituality that's here is integral to acceptance of people who are different than yourself. And I think that's a basic underlying philosophy here that comes across very clearly. I think in turn what the program provides to the school is it begins to share dimensions of people who are different than what many of us consider to be normal.
Right now the program is in transition. We're working on developing a, quote, postgraduate, unquote, program that we're not quite sure what that means. Involved in that transition is a lot of money, basically. The financial aspects of the program obviously are really important to the school and to the parents. We have, next year we'll have more than 2 teachers and for 12 or 13 students. And that costs a lot of money. And Eastside Catholic, the special ed program has been funded by the Elizabeth A. Lynn Foundation totally for the last 2.5 years, and they will continue to fund the program partially, but we're currently seeking other funding sources right now.
Any program is as strong and healthy as the people who make it a reality every day. At Eastside Catholic, the commitment to education is one of creativity, enthusiasm, and a desire to stretch the limits of each individual's abilities, talents, and gifts.
That story not only says a lot about the quality of the school, but also the quality of the students. To be able to accept others who are less fortunate and to accept them as your own is certainly a lesson that we can all learn.
We're going to take a short break, but there's more to come, so stay with us.
At the Donahue Funeral Home, we're always gratified to hear from the families we serve. Over the years, many bereaved families have told us how much they appreciated the warm, home-like atmosphere of the Donahue Funeral Home. To make such moments perhaps a little less difficult, the Donahue Funeral Home suggests that you discuss with us now, in the privacy of your home, pre-arrangement and the financial advantages and peace of mind it brings. That's what living is all about.
What can I tell you? Every Sunday you can become more aware of the world around you.
You'll discover what's new in the Catholic Church.
There's always something new. And Sister Marianne and I would like to share with you the triumph of Catholics in the area. The spirit of Vatican II is alive in you and in me.
Well, look at the Gospels. God's Word has always had the answers for your life's problems.
I'm Father Lee Four.
And I'm Sister Marianne Johnston.
Every Sunday on the radio, join us. Up on Air.
Walk into any church on a bright sunny day, and what do you see? A beautiful spectrum of colored light shining through the stained glass windows. I often look over the designs of some church windows, and I'm amazed at the intricacy of the finely cut pieces of glass and how they're molded together into pictures and designs.
Making stained glass windows is an art in itself, but it takes a special person to make stained glass of a religious nature. Not only must that person know the art of stained glass, but he or she must also be a contemplative, sensitive, spiritual person, a person like Nick Parendo of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I feel very much blessed in what God has allowed me to do. We're all given talents, and how we give them back to God and to each other is what it's all about. Just like you pick up that pencil and you start moving it, I think that, you know, God must be picking me up as a pencil and doing the same thing. Not art for art's sake, but art for God's sake. It's kind of easy to have beautiful windows. No wonder we're working with jeweled light. Now, if these windows are reflecting God's light, then no wonder we're kind of lifted in spirit. Just like in the liturgy, we like to think of being assisted to praise God with every part of our being. So if it's our emotion, or our spirit, or our physical rejoicing in God's presence, then I think that art is just a tool to be used in order to help people identify with beauty, and beauty is God.
Let's travel now to Long Island, New York, to meet a man who in a very real sense is also an artist, and his art form is the invention.
His name is Dario Santoro, and while he doesn't work with stained glass or richly painted tapestries, he does need an immense amount of creativity, perseverance, and patience to ply his craft.
Dario Santoro is an inventor and a collector of rare antique light bulbs. For him, the collection is more than just a hobby.
As far as inventions go, I think that the light bulb does symbolize creativity. Cartoon characters are always having light bulbs light up. It symbolizes creativity. Now we take a light bulb for granted, but light bulbs have had a long history of development. And looking at some of the earlier light bulbs can help us realize how much work, how much creativity actually went into something that we now consider simple. I find that you have to look at any problem through the eyes of a child. Most of us go through a long educational process that teaches us to learn what has come before and follow a pattern rather than go off on your own.
Several years ago, Santoro took a childlike approach to invent a container that would keep its contents free from moisture. That invention was a commercial success and enabled Santoro to continue inventing.
Other inventions have turned out to be useful to very limited groups, such as a silicone mixing machine or a washer cutting machine. And then some have turned out to be totally useless, like the clam opener, which turned out to be outright dangerous.
Santoro's clam opening device used a potentially lethal voltage, so he quickly abandoned the idea. Santoro feels a great responsibility for the inventions he devises.
As a person that is creating things that will affect other people's lives, you have to make moral judgments. It's important to realize that we all live together in one world, and if we're affecting each other, we should make sure that it's in a positive way.
Santoro finds creativity to be an important aspect of life. He doesn't see any difference between artistic and technological creation.
Artistic creativity always becomes something physical. If it's a painting, it's physical, it's on canvas. If it's poetry, it's written. If it's on film, it's on film. The creative element is nothing until it becomes something that's physical. That's what humans are best able to do, create. And it's what separates us from all the other creatures.
Let's take a short break now.
But don't go away, there's more to come.
It was terrible. I was single and pregnant. I couldn't even say for sure who the father was. Everyone seemed worried about reputations and quick solutions, but nobody seemed to care about me or my child. Then I heard about the people at MAS. They didn't yell. They didn't judge me. They listened. And they're helping me through the most difficult time of my life. I had heard about other maternity services, but the people at MAS are different. They're professionals, they're free, they have offices right nearby, and they help. Listen, if you're single and pregnant, don't get depressed. Get help. Call MAS. They really care about you and your baby.
MAS, serving Burlington, Ocean, Monmouth, and Mercer counties. We're there, and we care. Phone 609-394-5181.
All too often today, we're hearing stories of children and teens graduating or passing from one grade to another when from an educational standpoint, they're not ready for it. For a variety of reasons, our national education standards are suffering today.
Up next, we have the story of a Catholic school in Cape May, New Jersey that has taken a different approach to education. It is the Our Lady Star of the Sea IGE school. IGE stands for Individually Guided Education and is the result of a program developed at the University of Wisconsin in the late 1960s to provide children with an education based on individual need rather than standardized criteria. Say the words Cape May, New Jersey, and this is the image that readily comes to mind. Ocean waters lapping a sandy shore. Few people would think of this small resort town in terms of innovations in primary education, but just a block and a half away from the beach, that's exactly what's happening. This is Our Lady Star of the Sea IGE school. IGE, that's Individually Guided Education, is an alternative to conventional schooling that provides a framework for individualized instruction and continuous improvement. It acknowledges that parents, students, and teachers are unique and valuable individuals in the education process. Star of the Sea may look ordinary from the outside, but let's take a look inside and see what's happening. IGE was developed in the late 1960s at the University of Wisconsin. There, an educational research team studied elementary schools. An analysis of standardized test scores revealed that the schools were not maintaining their previous educational performance. The researchers concluded that schools of the 70s and 80s should be individualized, recognizing the capabilities and needs of each student. But IGE is more than open classrooms with catchy names. It's a commitment to education. Sister June Weldon, principal.
The IGE system provides for variations in what a child should learn, how rapidly the child should learn, and how the child should go about that learning. Many characteristics are taken into account, for example, the child's learning style, the personality, etc. The students are not graded numerically or with letters, but rather they are graded on effort and potential, right? And each child is taken into consideration what they are able to do. The teacher is expected to meet the needs of the child and to design each child's learning program according to those needs. In the IGE system, the student is expected to take a much greater responsibility for his or her learning program and to become an independent learner.
Mr. Joseph Conroy, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Diocese of Camden.
In the early 1970s, the small school enrollment suited the program, in which focuses on the individual talents and skills of each student. Since that time, the hard work and dedication of the administration and the faculty have made the program very successful for all the students at Our Lady Star of the Sea. It continues to have our endorsement and support.
But for the definitive opinion of IGE, we went to the students.
The IGE system is more complex and more of a challenge to me as a student. IGE school to me is, you are able to express yourself in your work and also orally to the teachers.
Well, when I was in Kansas, I went to a public school, and here I like learning my own level of learning.
I like IGE because I can choose the work that I'm good at, and it makes me feel good inside.
At Star of the Sea, individual effort is as important as individual achievement and is rewarded with the title of IGE Student of the Week.
The students among us who have been chosen as the IGE students for this week are in the primary unit, Christy Lombardo, in the intermediate unit, Melanie Slavik, and in the upper unit, Mark Hafner. Congratulations to these students, and each one of us should be trying more and more each day to live these qualities.
Well, it certainly helps to build a child's self-concept, because if you would notice that none of the qualities are academically oriented, all right? It is to develop a positive self-image, to work hard, to give service with a smile. These are all things that any student and every student is able to work toward.
No picture of IGE would be complete without the parents' viewpoint. Jim and Elizabeth Waldron have two sons, Tim and Mark, in IGE. Jim comments on the parents' role in the program.
This type of education requires more commitment on the part of the parents. But we feel that it's very important because it involves us to a greater degree in our child's education, and we feel particularly privileged that we're able to participate in their growth and their development through this system.
It has been 15 years since Star of the Sea first accepted the challenge of IGE, and the program continues to enrich the Star of the Sea community. Sister June expressed her hopes for her IGE students, past, present, and future.
What I would like to see for them is that when they leave us, they are able to take responsibility for their learning program, for their life, and that they will continue to be independent thinkers and learners, and that they will have developed such a positive self-image that throughout their life they will just believe so much in themselves and all the gifts that they have that they will be able to function as true adults.
If you would like more information about Star of the Sea and IGE, write to us here at Reel to Reel, and we'll be happy to put you in touch.
Call or write to us at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, PA 19103. That's Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, PA 19103.
Or call during business hours, 215-668-9842. That's 215-668-9842. And join us next week when Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons is joined by Mary Jane Brandt to discuss the problems of a distant father relationship.
And we'll see an artist who creates liturgical art in bronze.
So join us again next week. Good night.
Good night, and remember, Jesus is Lord.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen Travel of Media, PA. Phone area 215-565-7070.
Throughout South Jersey, the House of Charity helps the poor and the ill, the aged and the mentally handicapped. Support the House of Charity. Touch someone's life with love.
Many people find retirement isn't as much fun as they thought it would be. Too much time on their hands, too little to do. The Retired Senior Volunteer Program has thousands of opportunities for retired executives, housewives, engineers, teachers, whatever your skills or schedule. RSVP has something to fit anyone's interests. You can do what you want, when you want to do it, and still enjoy your well-earned retirement.
What's your problem? Let's see. Let's figure this out.
You've learned a lot in your life. Share the experience of a lifetime.
Last year at Malvern was a great beginning. This year's Young Adult Conference is going far beyond.
We have the entire 300 rooms set aside for young adults 18 to 35, single or married.
At first, I didn't know what the Young Adult Prayer Group was all about. But since I began, my whole life has changed. I've met the greatest people, and Jesus Christ is alive within me.
Join us at our weekend conference July 4th to Sunday, July 6th. $60 covers everything. Just call 215-668-HOPE.